Starting to record.
All right, this is the mayor manager's meeting for, let's see, today is what? April 31st. No, March 31st. And the time is 8:33. And in the room is Alice, or in the virtual room, it's Allison McKinney Brown, Dorothy Hargrove, Stephanie Carlisle, Jay Truscott Reed, Nathaniel Sierra, and Shawn Lewis, as well as Linda Olson. All right.
Mayor. We'll go ahead and get started with the April 6th agenda. We have the presentation of the 2021 budget kickoff. We'll have, as part of that presentation, we'll also be going over what we think are going to be the effects of COVID-19. Obviously, 2021 is a ways in advance, but we're trying to put some numbers to that. We'll have next contract for approval of a professional services agreement with AEC West to do our outside plan reviews. The Museum of Outdoor Arts contract will be on your agenda. And Dorothy, that contract will be in the packet, right?
Correct.
It has to be, yeah. So we'll make sure and let, actually, Dorothy, if you don't mind letting MOA know that when we plan to post that online, that'd be great.
I'll reach out to him for sure.
We'll also have second reading of the second IGA between the 911 authority and the city. Was that unanimous?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
One question I had on that, just really quickly, the police department was asking if they need to have their representative join the meeting again because it was not unanimous and it won't be going on consent.
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
I don't think they need all the externals.
I didn't think so either. Okay.
But
I don't think so.
Be available to answer questions.
Right.
I think the questions are
police
done. I think it's a philosophical difference or something. I don't know.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I will let the PD know.
People know, yeah. We'll also have first reading of a tax for online sales from third-party vendors, rounding out the agenda. All right, moving on to April. Go ahead.
Sorry, I did want to note, I believe that Allison McKinney Brown, though she did put it in, I believe it'll be Maria Zapata who will be presenting. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what will be happening, just to prepare you.
All right, thank you. On April 13th, it's still a special session, but it's more formatted kind of like a study session. There are only two topics on the agenda right now. We'll have the water and sanitary sewer master plan results, and we'll also have the pavement management program and 2020 pavement maintenance projects overview. So kind of how we do our road maintenance here.
How should we start to then put into these maybe a spot for COVID-19 response and COVID-19 recovery? So as we begin to start to see things that we're going to be doing, that I know that you're sending these wonderful Friday things and those are helpful. And I think everybody's reading them, or I wonder if it's helpful for the public to hear us talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, I absolutely can do that. I think probably the 13th would be a good one because it's a light study session agenda, and that'll give us time to actually meet with the citizen group that's been formed from Jason and Dagan and some chamber folks to really talk about how we position Inglewood to bounce back quickly once things reopen. And so I think April 13th, if that's okay with you, would be a great time to kind of talk about the city and the kind of the private sector plan working together to cover. That's
excellent. By then, I'll bet that the Metro mayors have come up with some kind of plan as well, or at least what did Mayor Hancock call it the other day? Some kind of an economic summit, I think, is what he talked about.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe we'll know about that too. I know all the chambers are rallying, trying to figure out how to be helpful during this time. So I think 13th is a great time.
Is that focus primarily on economic recovery and therefore community development should lead the discussion, or will it be more wide-ranging on the total response and issues involved?
Well, Mayor, if it's okay with you, if I can keep the kind of our response, the day-to-day immediate response stuff in my city manager's report, and then in this talking about kind of recovery, we talk about how we're going to, work with both businesses and, residents who've been affected in terms of recovery.
I think that makes sense.
So more wide-ranging in answer to your question, Dorothy.
Okay.
All right. Moving on to April 20th, we have Citizen of the Year selection and the process and timeline for that, and then a memo for lodgers sales tax increase. We also have purchase order authority for an annual roadway materials, contract approval for water treatment plant risk and resiliency study, approval of sub-grantee agreement with Arapahoe County for its 2019 CDBG funds, award of a contract to Stable Civil and Landscape LLC for the construction of Romans Park retaining wall, award of contract to Dream Builders Incorporated for construction of the Inglewood Recreation Center water main, fire hydrant assembly, and ADA ramp installation. And that's it on April 20th.
Yeah, I see all of those as being pretty pertinent and needed, so.
Right.
Would the last two contract awards be suitable for consent? I mean, it's just part of approved construction. Obviously, the information would be in the packet. I don't know if that's easier or harder under this circumstance.
Jade, can you speak to that? Or Stephanie?
I mean, we're fine with putting them on consent. I think that's.
I think it's more Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem questions, whether
Yes.
you'd like an explanation of what that involves or not.
I can see someone pulling it.
Okay, we'll leave them off then. Good try.
All right. All right, for April 27th, we have a March 2020 financial review. We'll have the Downtown Matters DDA update. And we have also been in contact with the consultants working on that. And part of the downtown master plan that they're working with the committee on, and the committee has, I think, started virtual meetings now. Part of that master plan is going to include a recovery plan for, particularly for the restaurant and retail sector of downtown, as well as, potential impacts that the hospital district is going to have. Although, as you may have heard nationally, hospitals are unfortunately booming with this outbreak. So, and then also on that study session format agenda, we'll have a preliminary review of the 2021-2025 Capital Improvement Plan, or CIP. And so we plan to, I believe, get this out to both Water and Sewer Board as well as the Planning Commission in advance, so that in May we can go to them virtually. And actually, last night you guys said do it sooner. Did you, or stick with the May schedule for boards and commissions to come back?
I feel badly that I didn't circle back around, because I don't think it was clear, but I'd love to see us move it forward where we can. I think we're behind comparatively to many cities are doing it and have already transitioned everybody. And as long as Zoom allows for people to call in on a phone. So I think the issue was whether people had the kind of Wi-Fi and email capacity. Some people don't like to use that, and if they can just do it by phone,
right. Well, and I think by
that would work.
I think by next week we'll have the Zoom capacity, and that will make it easier for our boards and commissions to start doing that. Stephanie, can you notify all liaisons that that's the direction of my direction as well as council?
Yeah, can you just clarify that for me? So all the liaisons for boards and commissions.
That they need to notify their boards that we plan to go virtual in April instead of May. And for some committees that have early in the month meetings, we may need to get those rescheduled to a little later in the month.
Okay.
And then also work with IT to make sure that whatever we're doing will work for boards and for council will also work for boards and commissions.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Thank you.
Well, Daniel, do you see a problem with that?
Well, I think the communication should go out to not only the council liaisons, but also just the board members. So whether we have it for the staff liaison, because I guess it wasn't clear whether it was the liaison for, on staff or the city council liaison. I see no issue with it, but I want to make sure that the staff liaison is aware so they can disseminate the information.
So I was planning on notifying the staff liaisons.
Okay.
So, and then they can kind of disseminate the information out to their specific boards. Do you want
Okay.
that to look differently?
No, I think that makes sense. Staff liaison usually copies the city council liaison, so we all get the message at the same time.
Okay, perfect.
Right. And we'll
One of the
have them
ways-
do that right away.
One of the ways to handle this is to say this is a go slow approach in April, trying to test the waters, and whoever we can get up and running, let's get them going. And if it looks problematic and it really is going to leave members out, then try and shoot for May. Is that too wishy-washy?
I think so long as we're clear that quorum requirements are still required, you know, we can see what works and get reports accordingly.
Good point. All right, moving on to the last two items. In May, on May 4th, we have a pre-development agreement with SKB, and then we also have an Excel Energy easement for the biogas project, which has been long in coming, and everybody's pretty excited to get that. So that is going to be, the reason that's actually pushed down is because Littleton and Inglewood want to do that as simultaneously as we can. And that was the first time they could get that on their agenda. That was their preferred date. So they'll do it on May 5th after we do that on May 4th. We both have to approve that easement. And then actually a couple more items in May if you want to go that far. City budget workshop on May 11th, and then joint session with Planning and Zoning Commission on May 11th.
Sounds good.
If we're still closed by then, will you guys want to have that? If we're still.
Can you ask that again?
Oh, sorry. If we're still under shutdown orders by May 11th, would you still want to do that? I mean, try to do that virtually with the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I don't think so. It would build relationships with them and make sure we get on better footing.
I got an email from Nancy Fenton in Community Development saying that their recommendation would be to wait until we could do it in person unless otherwise directed.
I agree. I think if that's what, yeah.
Well.
Okay.
But I think we should continue to do the budget workshop. We can break that up over time if it's too much to do virtually for that long. But we did a 3-hour meeting last night. Well, 2.5.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Could we go back a minute? Could we just, I guess I'm really wanting to make sure that we have a COVID-19 update on every meeting. Could we just put that in there? I mean, whatever related things that we need to bring up that week, just have a spot held for that. Could be something really simple. Could be just you telling us about the Buddies program and stuff like that, but at least we've saved a spot time.
Sure. Yeah, and then I can move that out of my city manager's report, which
Yeah,
we'll talk
me
about
too.
other things.
Me too. And we
So,
can
yeah.
we can gather everybody's perspectives at each one of those, and I think that would be helpful.
So we'll just call it a COVID update versus response or recovery. I mean, it could just be any type of COVID update that we need to do, and we'll just build it in at the end of every agenda. Does that work?
That works for me, and it doesn't need to be restating your Friday wonderful memo, Shawn. So, but whatever things come up and over the weekend or whatever, and or want to emphasize something. So I think it's, yeah. Shawn, are you okay with that?
Absolutely. I think it's a good idea. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Mayor,
Yeah.
I had a quick question for you. So we are still waiting on DocuSign to come through. I know that the city attorney's office has worked up a policy, and I know we're really close. I was just curious in the meantime if we need to meet for any signatures or if you guys are still okay waiting.
It's up to you. I can come if you want. I bring my hand sanitizer and everything, and I can wear a mask if you need. Whatever you want.
Let me just double check. I just don't want documents to pile up so high that then you're buried. So let me just find out what the update is and I'll reach out to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I haven't used my 2 masks that you all gave me yet, so I certainly can do that. And I always wash. I take, when I did those videos, I took lots of precaution.
Very good. All right. If there's nothing else, I don't think staff has anything else.
I think, did we have some things from last night? I'm checking.
Well, there were some comments about the parking lot items, but not a robust discussion of, you know, what should be there to consider in the future. I was a little confused by that.
Oh, for the
Future study session.
Future study sessions. Nobody said anything really clearly had to be taken off. I mostly wanted people to see the schedule for the upcoming weeks,
Right.
very specifically under the agenda topics that we just went over. And if they saw anything glaringly unimportant to be on there, that, you know, I think that Member Stone mentioned something about MOA and you chimed in, which was helpful. Just to know that, you know, some of these things, we have to get these things done.
Well, Councilmember Wink had a couple of specific examples, but I'm not sure that the rest of council, you know, discussed it. So I wasn't quite sure what to do with that.
Yeah, what did she have? Police cams and something else, right?
Yeah, she said she didn't think the e-audit needed to be on the list, but anything to do with public safety. But those were her comments. So
yeah, I didn't hear them. Go ahead.
I wonder if she probably isn't as familiar with that list and the way it's kind of formatted as you and the Mayor Pro Tem, to know that those are future topics if council wants to pull them up. But we haven't, since I've been here, haven't historically been kind of aggressively pulling those items up unless that you guys have a discussion about those at a council meting. So
yeah,
I think if it's okay with you guys, we would just leave those as is.
okay.
Yeah, I did hear a council request about the lease with Elways.
Yeah, I can go over what I got. Councilmember Russell had, please provide a copy of the Pirates Cove lease with John Elway Ford, comma, how much money the lease generates and where revenues go into the city budget from that lease. And then I also heard the topics that I think Councilmember Stone and Councilmember Russell brought up about thinking about how we can really consider, you know, those in the community who may be in need as, you know, fee increases are discussed, and frankly, just our normal, you know, fees, even if they weren't increasing for water, wastewater, stormwater, and that sort of thing. So last night I directed Maria DeAndre, Maria Sabata, and Peter Van Rye to really start putting together a program for utility bill assistance for that would be income based. And so Peter, I noticed this morning, has already responded with some thoughts and ideas. So at some point in the near future, we'll bring that back to you in response to those requests for that, or not for that, but for generally helping, you know, people who may be in need.
Yeah, I think part of it is realizing that there's a lot, there are resources that residents can access through the $1 trillion deal that Congress made, and how to help make sure that happens. The hard thing with it is the library is a great place for people with to get resources and assistance and looking for things, and that's gone now for the time being. I mean, I think, Dorothy, that's probably the way a lot of your librarians help people, right?
Right, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have librarians business hours answering the library phone, and they have been pointing people to that information. I mean, it's not a large number, but somewhere they estimated like 20 calls a day, so they are helping as much as possible.
I think that's great to know. That's wonderful. That there's, I mean, to know that there's 20 a day calling and getting help, to me is really great to hear, that somebody's on the other end on our side really helping point people in the right direction, because there are resources. The city isn't going to be the one who's pulling the money for them individually. It's a federally funded program that they really need to get into. So we want to make sure all of our residents get what they can in the needed time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Mayor, those are there are a lot of things like that going on throughout the organization, but I've kind of considered that business as usual, in that we're still serving the public even as we work remotely. But I can certainly kind of start talking about some of those in terms of reporting, if you'd like, about what we're doing even as we work from home, that may, there'll be public resources and services that may or may not be related to COVID-19.
I mean, Othania, you can chime in, but there are some people who really need to have that kind of information all the time to remind them that, our staff are doing things that are helping people in this crisis. It's not just figuring out the road deal or whatever, public works stuff, but there's a lot more than what meets the eye.
Sure.
No, I think that's right, Linda. I think actually that when you brought up the fact that we're going to be talking about the COVID-19 response within each meeting, I felt that that's basically what the reason behind it is, just to let the public know that that staff is going over and above their regular duties, in a sense, to help out the community. How we disseminate that information is something that I'm trying to figure out. I'm probably going to send out a communication to my email list about everything we've done, but yeah, I also wondered if that was a good place for potentially the Citizen magazine, if we do move forward with it here this quarter.
Good idea. I'll mention it to Chris Harga.
Whether it's timely, I guess, is the issue there with the Citizen.
Yeah, I think one of the hard things with this is the Citizen. I don't know where we make that decision. Maybe your staff just come up with a good plan, but I know we're kind of holding on the columns because we're not sure what's going to go into this next one.
Well, we are planning on a regular publication, so we're going to need to make decisions quite soon. So
we're not going to delay it at all.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Hey guys, I need to jump off this call to get on another conference call.
Okay. Okay.
But we absolutely can include things like that in that update, that COVID-19. I think that's a great suggestion.
Okay, great. Do we have everything then from last night? I think you covered them.
Yes, I think I've gotten everything.
All right. All right. Then this adjourns the mayor-manager meeting, and the time is now 8:57. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, have a great day,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.